Hey guys, for lack of a better word, I'm just going to call this Avoiding the Obvious, and I'm going to use a few different books here, like this one, a commentary on the manuscripts and texts of the New Testament by Philip Wesley Comfort. Then I have this book here, The Birth of the Messiah, a commentary on the infancy narratives in the Gospels of Matthew and Luke by Raymond E. Brown. So this is quite a fat book. I mean, 700 pages or something. And it's basically on Matthew 1 and Luke 1 to 3. Interesting book so far, written by a Roman Catholic. And you can actually tell at times, of course, that it's written by a Roman Catholic, but there's a lot of information in there. So it's a very valuable book. I'll advise anyone to get this, to get some ideas of, different sources, stuff people wrote. Then here I have the beautiful New King James Bible, and I have the Apostolic Bible Polyglot Greek English Interlinear. Yeah. So let's start off maybe with the New King James, and we're gonna flip to Matthew chapter 1. So let's read this. Now the birth of Jesus Christ was as follows. After his mother Mary was betrothed to Joseph, before they came together, she was found with child of the Holy Spirit. I'm going to skip 19 just because it's not important. But while he thought about these things, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream, saying, Joseph, son of David, do not be afraid to take you Mary your wife, for that which is conceived in her is of the Holy Spirit. So there are two witnesses here who Jesus' father is, all right? And we're going to flip to these books in a second. And I'm going to show you what these men are writing. So she was found with child of who? The Holy Spirit. That's not God the Father, really. That which is conceived in her is of the Holy Spirit. Now I'm going to show you the third witness. And this is Luke 1. The Holy Spirit will come upon you, Mary, and the power of the highest will overshadow you. Therefore, also that Holy One who is to be born will be called the Son of God. So if somebody ever asks you, hey, why is Jesus called the Son of God? Well, the reason for that is because the Holy Spirit came over Mary. Why is he called the Son of God? Because he's God the Son, who is the eternal Son. No, he's called the Son of God because the Holy Spirit came upon Mary. The reason is in the Bible. So you have now three witnesses, right? Now, let's see what these people make out of that. So first, and I hope I can do this right here with one finger. So let me put this. I don't want to do that. Sorry, bear with me. It's not so easy to grab those pages. All right, so this is a commentary, right? So it goes through these chapters, like I told you. She was found to be with child, literally having in the womb, through the Holy Spirit. We're going to analyze in a second if it says through or out of. Let me change my hand. I have separated this expression by a dash in order visually to mark it off as an explanation that Matthew offers to the reader. The fact that the child was conceived through the Holy Spirit is not part of the narrative flow here, really. Rather, that news comes to the dramatis personae from an angel's revelation in verse 22. But Matthew wants the reader to know, how can he get into Matthew's head? Matthew wants the reader to know more than do the characters of the story. Really, I thought that Mary was told that the Holy Spirit would come over her. Literally, the expression is genitive and has no definite article. So now they peel out the Greek here to tell you that you have no idea what the text says. Of a Holy Spirit. However, when one has supplied the word child, the reading child of the Holy Spirit gives the false impression that Matthew has said that the Holy Spirit is the father of the child. So Matthew what? When one has supplied the word child, the reading child of the Holy Spirit gives the false impression that Matthew has said that the Holy Spirit is the father of the child. We just read it from the Bible, right? We're going to read it from the interlinear in a second. There is never a suggestion in Matthew or Luke that the Holy Spirit is the male element in a union with Mary. That's true because Jesus is only born out of the Holy Spirit, and then he came out of Mary's womb. Mary was a surrogate mother. There is no union between the Holy Spirit and Mary. Supplying the husband's role in the begetting. Not only is the Holy Spirit not male, feminine in Hebrew, neuter in Greek, but also the manner of begetting is implicitly creative rather than sexual. All right, so you're saying the Holy Spirit is female? That's interesting. So your Trinity has one female person? I think I also read to you guys before, I don't know, maybe from some scientific theological paper about binitarianism, that Jesus in his pre-incarnate state was female Sophia. So I'm not sure if you're aware that the Trinity persons, two of them are actually female in their pre-existent state, according to these liars. Okay, so the pregnancy in Luke 1:35 tempts one, I feel so tempted, to speak of a Holy Spirit, but that is probably too indefinite to do justice to Matthew's theology. In the comment, I shall contend that the relationship of the Holy Spirit to Jesus' divine sonship was articulated first in reference to the resurrection and then in relation to the ministry of baptism. Thus, an articulation of this relationship in reference to Jesus' conception came after considerable Christian reflection upon the Spirit of God. If most commentators try to catch this by supplying the definite article before Holy Spirit, this should not lead the Christian reader to assume that either Matthew or Luke has developed a theology of the Spirit as a person, much less the third person of the Trinity. Blah, blah, blah. What did the text say? That Jesus was conceived out of the Holy Spirit. That's just so simple, right? So then, now here's this therefore thing, right? Why he's called the Son of God. Of the 9 times Diukai occurs in the New Testament, 3 are in Luke Acts. It involves a certain causality, so the cause. And Leone, l'Annonciation, whatever, or l'Annonciation, 61:8 points out that this has embarrassed many Orthodox theologians, since in pre-existence Christology, that would be saying that Jesus has been the Son before he was actually conceived out of the Holy Spirit. So the pre-existence Christology, a conception by the Holy Spirit in Mary's womb, does not bring about the existence of God's Son. So they say, in the Christology of the guys like James White, John MacArthur, Spurgeon, like everybody down to the Council of Nicaea and Constantinople, their pre-existence Christology, right? That a conception by the Holy Spirit in Mary's womb does not bring about the existence of God's Son. So it contradicts the Bible. Luke is seemingly unaware of such a Christology. Conception is causally related to divine sonship for him. So that means Luke made a little mistake here? So now I always have to bear in mind that since the Council of Constantinople told me what the Bible means, or actually who God is, I know I always have to think when I read something in the Bible, I guess Paul made a mistake here in his thinking, and I mean, that's just insane, right? Can you see that? It embarrassed many Orthodox theologians. Well, they weren't Orthodox then. You know, they didn't have the biblical understanding. I mean, this is so crazy. Page 291. The Birth of the Messiah, Raymond E. Brown. I mean, thank you for this one. I don't know, I don't have tattoos, but I should put that as a tattoo somewhere on my body. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna get tattoos, but you know, and how they try to get around the fact that the Holy Spirit conceived him, like, well, it should just say Spirit, and it's not really the Holy Spirit. And then when you look in this book right here, it's actually quite interesting how it tells you. She was found to be with child by the Holy Spirit. The divine name Spirit is written as Nomen Sacrum, sacred name in the earliest manuscripts. Yeah? Child conceived in her is by the Holy Spirit. The divine name Spirit is written as Nomen Sacrum, sacred name in the earliest manuscripts. So, what does that mean? I'll show you what that means. That means that in the manuscript, they didn't write pneuma like this, but it looked like this. And that's what they did with sacred names in these manuscripts. So, you know, like for God, Theos, it would look like this. And so, in these verses then, let me show you another one. Christ. Christos became this, for example, or this or this. So that told you that this was a divine name. Okay? That was the Holy Spirit that it talked about. And the same goes for Luke. Oh, now I dropped the book. Doing this with one hand is not easy. I need something to clamp this into. I'm sorry, bear with me. Just bear with me. I should have put these further to the outside, these sticky things here. Come on. The Holy Spirit will come upon you. The divine Spirit is written as a nomen sacrum, sacred name. He will be called, okay, therefore, he will be called the Son of God. It is written as a nomen sacrum, sacred name in several early manuscripts, indicating the divine Son of God, not just a Son of God. There is another passage in here, in this book, which is quite interesting. Did I put a sticker in there? I don't think I did, but here it is. When Jesus rejoiced in the Holy Spirit. This is the wording of in 3 early manuscripts, okay? The strangeness of the expression, he rejoiced in the Holy Spirit, there is no parallel in the scriptures, may have led to the omission of the holy from P45. So somebody didn't like that. The gospel writers did not use the term Holy Spirit when speaking of an action that Jesus himself performed in the Spirit, or of an emotion that emanated from his Spirit. Jesus is said to have perceived in his Spirit, and so forth and so forth. Yeah? So, of course, Jesus cannot rejoice in the Holy Spirit. That doesn't make sense. How can the second person of the Godhead rejoice in the third person of the Godhead? I mean, and of course, we learned this is actually female, right? So, it can't be the father because it would be a mother, or what? I mean, people are just stupid, all right? So let's now, as a last thing, look at this beautiful book, the Apostolic Bible Polyglot. And as you can see, like this here is the book of Jeremiah. It's all Greek. It's the Septuagint, okay? So here in Matthew, Mary was found in the womb having one from out of Spirit holy. And we know that this was written in sacred name. Mary was found in the womb having one, ek, which means out of the depth of the source, Holy Spirit. Of course, that can't be the Father, right? It's impossible. These things, behold, the angel in a dream appeared, blah. For the one in her engendered from out of Spirit is holy. So, Jesus was conceived out of Spirit into flesh, is holy. And remember, this one was written in nomen sacrum. So, that was the Holy Spirit, engendered from out of. Jesus Christ didn't become flesh out of Mary's womb, but he was engendered from out of the Holy Spirit. That was actually the Father. And, well, I showed you the other stuff, right? But yeah, you should get this book. It's beautiful. It's only $40. And hope you like this, and that this shows you again how people like that like to lie, or people like that. But it's always good to have these books, because there's a lot of valuable information in there. Yeah, all these footnotes and all that stuff. You know, you learn how they twist the truth. Some of the stuff you learn gets confirmed. So, yeah, enjoy seeing how they try to get around the obvious.